What's up, G Money?
There we go. Good morning.
It's my first day.
It's my first day with computers and the internet.
All right, BJ.
BJ. Beej. Happy Thanksgiving Eve.
No such thing, but
yes, there is.
There's no such thing.
Is this still the biggest party night of the year?
I'm partying.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It used to be like when I was younger, in my youth. It was a big party night. Kids come home from college. Everybody's off tomorrow. Everybody's going out. You still do it?
No. Not
I'm
because
too
I
old.
have to. If I want to, I will. But I'll do that any day if I want to.
You're like, I'll do what I want.
That's right.
Where did you used to go when you were younger? Like if you were like 20-something Joe out on the town, where do you go party? Where would you have gone?
I don't like being in public spaces with other idiots, so that's not my, my
Listen, you could
definition
just
of
say,
fun.
I didn't have any friends and I stayed home and studied.
So I totally looked into quantum mechanics at the time.
I don't
That's what I
like
do.
public spaces.
Yeah, people are gross.
That's
and
what
I
it
don't
was.
like being around them, and they're jerks, and nothing.
It is gross.
But getting a couple of your besties around the campfire and drinking some bourbon and smoking some cigars, that's what I like.
That's way better than hanging out at a colonial house where the upstairs bathroom dripped onto the bar downstairs as you're ordering a drink and you're getting toilet water dripping on you.
I think all of the normies should go to all of those, really subpar places and then complain about it on the day after while they're hungover and it wasn't a great experience. It
was great back then.
So let me bring up some listener feedback because I got some good ones.
Ooh,
Two things
listener
I have
feedback.
to address. Just me. I'm not going to take shots at you because that happens more often than shots at me. So first shot is that I am more confrontational than I need to be. Do you feel like in the last couple weeks I fought with you more than I should?
Oh, with me?
With you.
Not like with our subject matter.
Not generally. I fight with everybody. It's my brand. But I'm saying specifically with why do you fight with Kelin so often and much? Do you feel like I've done too much of it?
No. Short answer, no. Long answer, if they watched recently, I do think we had a bit more banter recently.
Can
than
we just do short answers
do.
from now on without the long answers? Can we
All right,
do that?
I'm starting to see this person's point. Starting to see the point.
So do you? It's yay or nay? Like, Your Honor, if the witnesses just answer the question, do you feel like I'm too confrontational with you?
Short answer, no.
I reclaim my time. Thank you. Thank you to the witness. Secondly,
I'm saying I could see their point.
Why?
Like when we were talking about like International Men's Day and men and women and or getting sick and things of that nature, like some banter, some like, let's get into it kind of thing. I don't know if it was confrontational or overly.
The thing about it, like being in radio as long as I was, having a circle jerk is the most boring thing ever.
Yeah.
Right? Just having two people agree on something. So sometimes you have to invent the straw man in order to have a good debate.
Yeah, because there's a lot of topics we talk about that we agree on. In fact, we probably agree more than we disagree.
But we disagree. That disagreement is boring as shit, and that's why we shouldn't do it.
I think if we finally find something that there's some friction, it could be like, "Ooh, this is fun,"
right?
Kind of thing.
And sometimes, like, you never know whether or not I'm taking the other angle on it just for good content, or that's really how I feel.
Yeah.
But maybe you should dig a little deeper into finding whether or not I'm just fighting with you for the sake of our audience's listening pleasure.
Yeah.
Or that's really how I feel.
Yeah,
so
because I think I personally have heard you say some things that I'm like, all right, you're just being ridiculous. There's no way you actually think that.
Yeah. Well, do you have people out in public that no matter what you say will take the counter argument just because they freaking hate you so much?
Yeah.
I have a lot of those. I have a lot of people, and I appreciate them. I know that's not really how they feel. No matter what, I had some dude just yesterday where it was something about voting, right? Voting on an option. And I picked option 1, right?
Yeah.
Option 1 was what I wanted, right? It was legit. But I know this person picked option 2 only because I picked option 1. I know it. I 100% know.
That to me, that sums up our entire political climate in the last year or so.
Yeah.
That something can make sense. Two people can agree on something, but just because it's in your head that we're on opposite sides, it's like, oh, you said something, I'm going to defend against it.
And I appreciate, again, it makes for good content. So they're feeding into exactly what I need, right, as an enemy. If a head to toe, wearing all your suit of armor with your broadsword, if there's not a freaking dragon, nobody wants to see a warrior parading on a field with no enemy, right?
Yeah.
That's freaking boring.
Why is reality TV so popular?
Right.
People love the drama, the fighting, I go to hockey games and my favorite part are the fights.
Right.
Just is.
Not even part of the game.
Yeah.
Not even part of it.
Just something I hope happens. I'm more interested if it happens.
All right. Second thing is that I am meaner than I should be towards you. I am meaner.
Somebody said these things specifically towards me. Not even in general.
I erode your confidence, and I erode your confidence, and I'm meaner than I need to be. Give me a reaction, because do you feel like I'm meaner than I need to be?
No.
You're such a bitch. Why don't you just say it? Like, say true. I'm meaner. Just say it.
First of all, let me say this.
Yes.
I appreciate this viewer's concern. Let me just say that.
Right.
Thank you,
They're
viewers,
looking out for you.
For your concern. I really appreciate that. If they're like, lay off, Kelin, you're being a jerk.
Right.
Thank you for that.
Right.
I don't ever feel like berated or bashed. I will say, when I got sick, I knew you were going to come for me.
Yeah.
I knew that illness is just a thing with you.
It's a weakness. Yeah.
And I was like, here we go.
Yeah.
And when it comes to that subject matter, I'll be like, I just got to grin and bear it, and whatever. Joe has his feelings about it. And, I would not say you were mean about it. Maybe passionate about it. Okay. I'm flooded with memories. Maybe a little mean. Okay. Maybe can be mean.
Okay. Meaner than I should be. There's an appropriate amount of mean that is justified and reasonable, right?
Yeah.
So if you and I are going to battle together and we're both suited up with our broadswords, and you get your period, and all of a sudden you can't defend me, I'm going to be mad and mean about it, and I'm going to undermine you, and I'm going to make you feel guilty that you did something that really lowered the value of you being around me, right? That's reasonable.
I mean, there's such a thing as tough love.
Yes.
Right. If you're you are my child and I care for you, so I've got to be tough on you so you learn.
You have a responsibility to me and I have a responsibility to you. And when you go off and do something that undermines that, I can point out the devaluing of whatever it is that you
I don't know if you always do that with love. Let me rephrase that. Yeah. I don't know if it feels like you're doing it with love.
Well, I don't have that ability. So if you want me to wrap something in an emotional bow, I cannot do that.
That's what this is, I believe.
Yeah.
And I think what viewers don't realize that I have slowly started to learn over time of knowing you. Mm-hmm. You come off as harsh and mean and critical and scary.
Yeah.
But that's not on purpose. You just you don't really have a soft side. Mm-hmm. To see you in a posture of caring, empathetic, kind, loving, nurturing mindset is not something I've never seen, but it's rare that it's done in a recognizable way for us normies.
Right. It's just expressed differently. If we were in that field with a dragon, who would you rather have? Some soft person that needs you to stroke their penis in order for them to come to it? Or do you want a warrior that is a badass that's going to help you destroy the dragon? When it comes to utility, I'm your guy.
Yeah, but I think the point too is it's all about how it's received as well. I was a communications major, which you probably think is dumb.
No, basket weaving and communications major are equal. I appreciate both of those. Can you do lesbian dance? Because I would always
really starting to get the viewers' take on this.
No, basket weaving is an important part of every culture.
In communication, they stress the fact that it is just as important to get the person you're conveying something to understand as it is how you're conveying it.
Right.
I could say things all I want till I'm blue in the face with an intention.
Right.
If you don't get it, it's lost.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It's not being received.
Well, culture ruined that though, because communication majors used to take the aggregate, like the biggest demographic, and communicate well to that demographic. When language was bastardized and it became more about your wokeness than logic, well, they put me on the sideline. Like, I know where my skill set is, and it's not making you feel good about truth. Now, if you have a bad relationship with truth, and if I tell you it's going to make you feel bad, I don't care. I'm not catering to the needs of the people who want the illusion at all.
Have you ever heard of the 5 love languages?
Yes.
Why do we have those? Why would somebody use someone's love languages?
Yeah, to manipulate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is
to manipulate.
That is the definition of manipulate.
Let's try this again.
Yes.
Okay, let's go with that. Let's go with manipulate.
Right.
I want to manipulate you into feeling like I care for you.
Right. That's untruth.
I would use some. Okay.
No. So if
we have to go about this a different way.
If you don't want a hamburger, but I know I can manipulate you by putting the flame broiled on the screen and maybe wafting smells at you to want a hamburger, I'm manipulating you wanting a hamburger. That's what marketing is. It's manipulation.
Right. So like, you don't care about gifts.
Don't care about gifts.
Let's say your wife loves receiving gifts.
Yes.
And you want to make your wife feel loved.
Right.
So you buy her gifts.
Okay.
Inauthentic to you.
Yes.
You don't care.
Right.
But you know it's important to her, and that's how you can convey how you feel in a way that she'll understand.
Yeah. And then a relationship between two people is making concessions that don't fill me. Like, I get nothing out of giving a gift, but I know it makes her happy. And she'll do something that she has no care about whatsoever and do it for me, which makes me happy. And then you have a relationship where two people are making ultimate concessions, right? Not selfishly, but selflessly.
Right. So if you wanted to convey something,
yes,
and you're doing it in a straightforward, emotionless way,
right, truthful,
and you're conveying it to a person highly emotional who doesn't understand that realm in which you operate,
right,
it's lost.
If it's single dimension, it's manipulation, right? If it's multiple dimension, it's a relationship. So manipulation and relationship. So if you reciprocate, like if I sell my cheeseburger and you gave me money, right? You didn't make a concession, right? You just bought into my manipulation and ate the hamburger. But now if you would give up something personally and do the same thing in my direction, now it would be a relationship. And that's what the difference between, like, I have two sides of me, and I have business Joe, right? And I have personal Joe. And I am willing to overlook all kind of shit. You know what gets me out of personal Joe?
What?
Somebody pulling the business Joe lever, right?
Ooh.
Not a recognition of that I was doing something that was incongruent with my beliefs for the sake of you. And the minute that you go on some kind of like script and it's all business for you, then I just reciprocate in the same way. So you have the ability to go back and forth between a relational
like match their energy.
Exactly. And I think that what's more effective at this point is manipulation, because not only are people manipulated, but they desire to be manipulated. And in that's one of the failings of a civilization, is when manipulation is the currency of the people.
Yeah, and I think you have to learn people's currency. Like there have been people in my past that I thought deep down didn't like me.
Right.
Because they were always like spewing insults and joking and saying like mean joke, shaking jabs at me. And the more I got to know them, the more I realized, in fact, they would say like, oh yeah, if I really like someone, I joke around and I take little shots. If I don't like them, I'm very quiet and I don't engage. And I was like, well, so you really like me? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, I thought you hated me, but that wasn't their, that wasn't how they do it.
And that's what makes normies so easy to own, is because they're one-trick ponies. You know what 90% of the population responds to. And it's so easy to manipulate through them, especially if you don't give two shits about the person on the other side of the arrangement.
Like, would you say, are you the type of person that, would you be like, Kelin, if I were no longer harping on you, giving you these guidelines, telling you how you're screwing up, saying all these quote unquote mean things, you're like, I just gave up. You'd probably be like, I've given up on you.
She doesn't love me.
I don't. Yeah.
She does not showing affection in my direction. Our disagreements are what I value. And, you know, I've already stated that, you know, you come from a place where I think you're a reasonable, good person. So everything that comes out of your mouth is coming from that end. So anything you say, it's not like you said something mean to me that disagrees with me, and all of a sudden I feel like you're not a good person anymore. I already know that you're a good person. So anything that comes out is just an expression of what we have fun with on the show.
Because there's been a couple times, probably not on the show. Excuse me. Gross. In real life, where you've said something, and I can't think of a specific example, but I know I felt it. You said something, and my gut reaction is like, I'm shutting down. We're done.
Yep.
Like that cut, and I didn't like it, and we're not cool. And then I instantly thought about it, and I went, all right, how would Joe have actually meant that, though? There's how I took it.
Perfect.
And then there's how I'm sure what do I know about Joe? Here's what I know. Here's my experiences. That wouldn't line up. For him to like actually try to hurt me is not in his character. Something was lost in translation there. And then I have to go back and be like, I'm going to give you an opportunity to say that differently.
So what Lee said is, why can't people agree to disagree? And you just answered that question. So let's just say I'm going to have a debate on Monday about universal healthcare single payer systems and philosophical differences. Two different people. I'm going to claim that I have the upper hand because I mastered mathematics, and the other person that's going to debate me, right? I can either say they're stupid, they don't know mathematics, or I can extend to them that in their heart, they have something, the reason for feeling the way that they do. And I'm going to give them benefit of the doubt that it's coming from that place, not just an ignorance of mathematics, right?
Yeah.
And that's the beginning of a debate where not only you can agree to disagree. If you think we should kill babies and I think that we shouldn't kill babies, like you're going to say a lot of things in your department, and it's not you personally that is saying those things. If you say, well, I'm a single mom who wants to put in their career and a baby's just going to be get in my way and my prosperity, you're never going to be able to realize because of that decision. I'm going to want to say a whole lot of things, right?
Yeah.
That you're stupid and you're making bad decisions, and you know the consequences of those decisions are X, Y, Z, right? And then we're just going to have an impasse and say, okay, well, I believe that you shouldn't kill babies. You believe you should kill babies. You know, let's both live and let live, right? But if we're like, this person actually has a noble angle on it, I can see into why they're saying what they are. Maybe they need just a little information from me in order to, you know, make better, more proper decisions.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's the, you know, we tangle with debate as to not hurt the other person to a point where they no longer pick up new information from you. A real debate is where, like, I learn a little bit from you and you learn a little bit from me. Although I think you need to try harder to teach me a little bit, but it's still the premise of, I still give you benefit of the doubt that maybe you do want to help me.
Do you think I have nothing to offer you in general? I could never learn a thing from Kelin. It's pointless to even try. Be honest.
Okay. There are ideas that you have planted in my head that circulate on a regular basis. And
really?
They are.
I live in there.
They are true, that you are in my head, and there are things when I'm making choices that I take your perspectives and I weigh them in. They don't always win, but they're there.
Really?
Yes.
Regularly? Oh, that makes me happy.
If impressionable people, you're top 5.
Really?
You are.
I'm an influencer in your world?
You are.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Thanks.
What, did you not expect that answer?
Not really, no.
Really? No.
Top 5, I would not have expected to be top 5.
Influential people, because I think you come from the heart and you share truth and you say whatever's on your mind, and that's invaluable to me because I know you're not saying it for any other reason other than trying to be helpful. And I do weigh the things that you say, even if like subconsciously, they enter in there.
Well, good.
What, you thought I was just going to be dismissive and say, no, you play no part and no role?
I wasn't sure. I'll be honest. Okay. I was not sure.
Sean says, I am a warrior and Joe is my dragon. Sean and I will debate on Monday.
I am a warrior and Joe is my dragon.
Yeah, he thinks he is going to slay me. And the problem with, overconfident warriors is they get humbled at a certain point. Like it's usually halfway through, and he might slay me. Like I don't know him well enough to know whether or not he's got the capacities to do justice to this debate. But there's a possibility.
Here's my curiosity.
Yeah.
Does he have the capacity to begin a war and stop if in the middle of the fighting he realizes, oh my God, we're both warriors?
That is the big question. That is
You're not my dragon at all.
And that is how I foresee this going down. Okay, because he is an empath. Okay, empath. If read literature, and what happens in the hero's tale of an empath? What happens to the empathic hero every single time? It's in literature. It's in human biology. What happens to the empath?
I don't know. What happens?
Okay, it's tragedy every time.
Every time?
Every time. Unless in what?
Every time?
Yes.
Okay. Unless
let's go to biblical teachings. Why is it hard to be a Christian?
Probably.
Okay, so it's the martyr's tale in Christianity, where when you do the right thing, it's always harder, takes longer, and you watch everybody win around you while you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Virtues are always harder.
Yeah.
But they're ingrained in us to do the hard thing, even if there's no immediate benefit, right? And ultimate consequence. And every empath will, no matter what. So you pick your empathetic path, right? Is an empath rewarded? So you say something in lovingly to someone. Is that a vulnerability, or is that an advantageous angle?
I think it depends on the situation.
It's always it is never the advantageous thing.
Always.
Ever. Read all of literature.
It is never advantageous to say something in an empathetical way.
Find literature where the hero's path with empathy benefit in the short term. Find it, and I'll agree with you. You will not find it though.
Jesus.
Oh, really? You're gonna pick
not every time.
Okay,
not every time.
You are picking
certain situations.
You are picking the dude, right? That with every empire that judged him, ultimately nailing him to an effing cross as a.
I said not every time.
But that's your
Jesus' story didn't end so well. You told me every single encounter.
Every encounter.
I'm saying short not every encounter.
No, every encounter. Short-term loss. The martyr is always a tragedy tale. Always. It's the right thing, and I wish more people would do it, but it still ends in peril. Every time.
Every encounter Jesus had with everyone.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying
that's why I said Jesus, I thought you meant every encounter.
No. If you go on the empath's path, that's not even right.
The path
journey,
of the empath.
The empath's journey. It always incidentals, right?
Yeah.
There were some good interactions.
That's what I'm saying.
On the local trail, it is peril every single time.
Listen, big picture, absolutely.
Yes.
But you said every single situation, to which I said,
I did not.
I don't think it's ever every single situation.
You're freaking lying. I'm saying every tale. Every tale. Every literary example is peril.
Okay, so you're talking about documented literature, not every situation.
Which is the tale of human beings, and through history,
we're on different pages.
We are on different pages, literally.
See what I did there?
Yeah, I like that. But anyway, so empath trail is harder, and I know that our Sean Connolly,
which is so close to Sean Connery, I love it.
Yes, Sean Connery.
He's like, I'm going to earn you, Trebek.
If he does a debate in a Sean Connery impression,
that's therapist.
The rapist. The rapist.
Your mother's a whore, Danyi.
All right. Back. Hold on. Back to.
Back it up.
But anyway, so I'm going to come at this debate with knowing that I have a emotional expressed empath in front of me. So I'm going to basically heavily weigh noble intentions in part of their argument. And I hope on the other side of that, they're going to take logical mathematic persuasion and weigh the two against one another. And that will be a good debate if that happens. If the empath goes delusional, then the debate is foregone and it's not going to be any fun.
You guys need a moderator for this, maybe.
Who's going to moderate? Who's going to
know?
know? I could be the best moderator of my own
Like,
debate.
you need somebody to be like, burp, you went off the rails. Burp, nope, you're not sticking to the topic. Oh, you're not.
Yeah,
whatever.
I will play both moderator. I will objectively and unbiasedly weigh the debate down.
I mean, is
and
it unbiased if
participate.
it's like, it's my show, it's my
No,
studio,
I
and
won't do
I'm
that.
the moderator?
I promise not to do that.
Well, as long as you promise. I guess we'll all just believe it.
I don't know. My integrity is pretty high up there on what I say I'm going to do and come through on that. So I don't think there's any reason for disengagement. All right. What else?
Just curious, what did you say to the viewers that were like, you're really mean and unnecessarily
I don't know. It was
harsh?
randomly. I get messaging on a regular basis. Some of them are just hate, like you're a dipshit and you didn't go to college and you have no business talking on important topics. Okay. And those ones I put into my folder of like, really, those are acknowledgments. Those are my crown that I wear when I get hate. Just because, not somebody that I would want to debate, but it's good that they were able to levy with their feelings towards me. I feel like they got it out.
I heard an expression recently. It said, don't take criticism from someone you would not take advice from.
It's true.
And it's like, why would I care what you think?
Yeah. But I don't like, I don't even weigh it to that level. It's just something that I know somebody was upset in that moment and they were able to email me and get it all out, knowing that their burden has been lifted in that moment.
I said, Carter said Emma Lobros can moderate. That would be funny.
No.
Here's a good example of where I had to calm myself down and start thinking rationally.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
When Emma Lobros were like, we're not allowed to talk to Kelin. Joe says we're not allowed to talk to Kelin. I was like, what the? Why? Oh, I'm not valued? Okay. I'll go play somewhere else. Nobody cares. I guess I don't have anything to say. Don't talk to me. Don't engage. I'm not important enough. And all this like spiral. And I was like, I'm probably being dramatic.
No, an emotional empath.
I wonder if I
and spiraling into worst case scenarios. I couldn't think of
maybe took that out of context the wrong way.
Yeah, and that is why the tragedy tale of empaths is so predetermined, because no matter what, you will think worst case scenario every single time. It's what you do.
I mean, that's what we see on the internet. Like I had mentioned too, like I got called racist because I said something, or I got called this because of this. And there's no context. There's no full sentence. It's just, I hear this much and I'm going to assume this much. I think everybody does that sometimes. Except you.
What?
Except you.
No, I don't. I'm totally logical.
You've never heard something and instantly been like, what the... and gotten mad and then been like, okay, let me give them the benefit.
I think I take exception to untruths. Like if somebody wages an untruthful war, I will feel obligated to share what the truth is. And there's injustice everywhere. So it's not like truth gets to win in all places. But I feel like I have to share what the truthful thing is. Even
if it's a futile situation?
Yes, more so.
Where you're like, this is me wasting my breath, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Right. And there I don't have to find utility in sharing a truth because I just can't let it go. And that's just a personal hang up with me that I can't get over untruth. Can't.
So like if you're at family gatherings for the holidays and someone's got a wild view, do you have to be like,
not in that thing.
I can't let this go.
Untruth about something that either undermines me, impugns me, challenge my integrity, anything that's at me, cool. Like I'll come at you. Like I'll rip your throat out. But if it's something like, I think illegal immigrants should be in every town and every city, and they're not coming after me, like that's just your opinion, and I'm cool with that riding out there without saying, it's probably a pretty bad mathematical idea. And, unless I really want to have a debate with them. And then that kind of opinion I'm interested in because I want to counter it. I want to throw something. But most people don't hold enough opinion that has value enough to even have a debate.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen things online. People would come at me and say things, and I know it's not true, and I want to fight back. And then I think, why waste my time and energy on someone I know can't receive logical information?
Right.
They won't ever hear truth.
Right.
They're going to say that regardless.
They're going to feel the same way after that conversation. They'd go into it, and that's fine.
So I'll just go to my own thing.
Everybody's entitled to their opinion, even if it's wrong. Yeah. All right, politics. I do have to. Last week, or maybe it was Monday, I don't even know. But I said that Doge was disbanded. It was really not. That was an article that was published in a media source that said it was, and it is really not.
Okay.
So I had to correct the record, and I said I was disappointed, and I am still disappointed, but Doge is still part of our government.
But are you a little less disappointed
that they're still around?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll talk about like SNAP, right? SNAP was a big thing. Government shutdown meant that people didn't get benefits. So the government's like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to basically take the whole project and make you reapply for that project, right? Do you think people are on SNAP that don't need it?
Yes.
All right. You're a 40-year-old person. You have no disability. You're a felon. You get $400 a month for food.
Yeah.
Right? And you're pissed because now you have to reapply and basically prove your case as to why you need taxpayers to say, here's your food.
Yeah.
Right. And do I feel bad? Like you as an empath, take the empathetic. You have a dude that's just had it good for a little while. $400 isn't a lot to go to the grocery store and buy meaningful. But if you're, living in your parents' basement and you get $400 worth of food, you can make that work, right? And now all of a sudden,
you clearly haven't done much with your life anyways. If this is all you have, then
yeah. But do you think human beings are capable of more? And do you think a system should support people being uncomfortable when they take, human supremacy, what we're capable of, and squandering it by just getting by, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a big injustice where that dude could be doing a whole lot more using his body or his mind or whatever he can contribute to society. And we're giving him lots of reasons to sit on his couch and play Mario.
Yeah. It's always people, I think, try to push this narrative that you're being mean and hurtful by taking things away from them.
Yes.
And they won't look at it as you're being mean and hurtful by keeping them here.
Keeping people in a cage, right? Where they can't do what they want to do, because if they do it, like you ever hear the people like, I can't make over so much money, I'll lose my benefits, right?
Yep.
That is a system that takes and takes mediocrity and just basically backfills it with empath. Empaths are doing it for all the right reasons, right? I want to make sure that you have what you need, right? Where I'm picturing somebody in the clergy, right? Somebody walks through the door and says, I need food. My children are starving. And the clergy's like, I have a couple choices here. I can give you a Giant Eagle card and you can go to the grocery store and buy food for your children. And then you will have one part of the formula will be solved where you'll be able to buy food, right? And then I'm like, what's going to stop this from next month you coming through the door and saying the exact same thing? I didn't change your predicament. I didn't give you an advantage. I just gave you like a get out of jail free card for the moment. And you're going to be back here next month. And all you now are is dependent on my grocery card.
Yeah.
So instead I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to still give you the grocery card, but I'm going to use everything that's in my tool belt. Wisdom, shame, right? I need you to bow to and acknowledge the fact that human beings with capacity shouldn't be in your predicament. As soon as you make that acknowledgement, now I want you to be curious as to what gets you out of the predicament, right? You're already a felon. You already committed a felony. So do you have the ability now to not create more felonies for yourself? Because even if it's bad right now, it could get worse if you're doing all the things that create felonies.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a little discussion and say how the felony happened. And you served your term. You did whatever penance that you had to do. What's the likelihood that you're going to create another felony? You're at home. You're not working. You're bored. You're hanging around a bunch of people. You don't have any of the wisdoms that keep you on a good path. What is your path?
You want to buy things, but you don't have money.
Right. And so like the likelihood that you're going to become a deeper felon and get more benefits and rewards for a culture that rewards felons and bad behavior means that you're probably going to do more, and you're going to need a bigger gift card next time for Giant Eagle to buy your groceries. So I want to intervene, and I want to tell you that you're a schmuck, you're making poor decisions, and show up here every day. We'll read some of the Bible, and maybe you can impart some wisdom with, what humanity has leaned on for all of every civilization.
Yeah. Oh no, then it's the pushback. Well, why would I look there? And do you know what Christians have done? And do you know all the evil things done in the name of the Bible? And it's like, just say okay, well then keep being a screw up.
Yeah. And it's really this. If wisdom survives more than 5 years, it's real wisdom, right? How many years has the Bible been sort of like a cornerstone of civilizations? Here's the test. Let's just say you brought a bunch of people who knew nothing about the Bible and they have no idea why they shouldn't read into it. If they just read it, would they be better or would they be worse? Right. And for a majority, they would become better people that helped other people and looked outside themselves, and there would be true wisdoms that would be imparted on them. And if you have the right clergy in front of them, they can interpret what something they don't understand in those wisdoms and figure out, like, if you ask the clergy, should I do X, Y, or Z? Have you ever sat down with a priest, pastor, or anything like that?
Yeah.
And have you ever gotten advice where, like, man, they're putting me on the bad path?
Have I felt like they put me on a bad path?
Yeah, ever?
No.
So they didn't tell you to go in and create genocide against another
Maybe
people.
you should just lie, cheat, steal. And
they're never going to say any of that kind of stuff. So let's just say by default, if we put you into that deal and we give you some, oversight with someone who knows what they're talking about, will you be made better and a better contributor to society? The answer is yes. Right?
Yeah.
And if we didn't do that, and you had no wisdom, you had no influence, you had no shame, and all you did was collect the check, where would you be? Like, I'm taking the biblical one over the, moral secularism every single day.
Yeah. And I think people don't even realize, I think someone who doesn't know would think, oh, well, they're just going to tell me, I don't know, some magic man in the sky said to do this, so I should do it or I'm going to hell. And it's like, they're actually quite more logical than that. They actually say things that make sense.
Right.
It doesn't all have to sound like fairy tales to work out and be applicable, I guess.
Right. Unless you want to disagree with it, and then you take the wisdoms and you try to impugn it. You do the whataboutism about, if I said, hey, I want you to save 10% of your income and put it in your own account and save for a rainy day. That's wisdom, right? And if you're open to the wisdom of saving 10% of your income for a rainy day, you're thinking of all the good things that come out of that. If you don't want to do that, you just want to disagree with it, you're going to be like, well, what about this? And well, what about that? That's a person that just doesn't want to do the thing. And they're tantruming like an 8-year-old that doesn't want to do the thing. And they're pointing out to you who's using all the wisdom and it's working out for them, but they really want you to disbelieve in it. You're trying to get in your way of your faith and belief in the wisdom more so than they really have mathematical objection to it.
Oh, yeah. They want to argue about what my source of this wisdom is rather than the fact that wisdom's the same. What you should do and shouldn't do still makes sense.
It doesn't change the wisdom. Doesn't change it.
I'm still on a better path than you are.
Right.
But you want to argue about where I learned about this path.
Right.
you
want the spaghetti monster. And honestly, there's a couple people on this planet, I would say maybe 2 or 3 that I could think of, that will throw the I don't believe in any spaghetti monster in the skies thing that tells me what to do. Right. There's only 2 or 3 that consistently apply that to everything. Right. But everyone else who takes that angle, I can figure out a whole lot of spaghetti monsters in the sky, like climate change and dark energy and quantum physics, where you have to have a lot of faith of things that can't be measured and you can't prove, that they're willing to believe in spaghetti monsters in the sky sometimes if they agree with the spaghetti monster.
This is so interesting because I've started to go down this rabbit hole online of videos. about atheists that have become Christian. And I'm just like, oh, why? Why? What changed? What, and these are scientists and researchers that for years have looked into evolution and biology and the study of the universe and matter and all kinds of things. And it's like, well, the inner workings of so many things. Why would you suddenly change your mind? And some of the things like the idea of you cannot make something out of nothing. They can totally explain how a cluster of cells can evolve into something. Sure. But nobody can explain where the cells came from. Like these cells made these cells made these cells. Got it. Where'd the first ones come from? Like you can't make something out of nothing. You can't just have this. And so that's mind blowing as to then it's like, well, then something did this, something. And it's like, all they want to say is, well, it's a different something. We just don't know yet. Could it be this? No, definitely not. Well, what do you mean definitely not? How can anyone be so sure? It's interesting.
So if somebody said that there was a supreme engineer of all things that are living, somebody created that first cell, right?
Yeah.
My question would be, well, who created that thing? Who created the engineer? And is there an engineer's engineer? Is there a hierarchy of infinite?
How did that come about?
Right. And again, I can't prove that there is an engineer and I can't prove that there isn't an engineer.
Yeah.
So which one has more utility in thinking that all things were just an ironic and,
coincidental
entropic fusing? Well, you have to have a lot of faith in thinking that something happened from nothing, right? Just as much as something happened from something. Just as much.
Yeah.
Doge has officially been disbanded, and the max amount a single person can receive on Snap is $298. That is beautiful.
Wow.
Beautiful. And anybody who is capable of working should go find work.
$298 a what?
Month.
Okay.
Maximum amount. Go to the grocery store, spend your $300, and hurry up and get off of that program because it's a sucky program. The suckier it is, the more influence you have to go out there and replace it with something that exists. I'll tell you, it's out there.
And I hate when people do the all or nothing. Like, oh, you don't care about people and the elderly and the disabled. Not what we're talking about. There are people in our society that truly need help by all means. We're talking about the ones that not only are able, but it's crippling them to make them think they're not.
Right.
Like I know some people that are on assistance that are truly depressed and just, there's no life. Like, what do you do? They don't do anything. They don't go anywhere. They don't have relationships. They're depressed. But they need it. And it's like, oh my God, like, do you know how much better your life would be if you weren't stuck in this rut that you think you're stuck in?
So let's just say Kelin gets to be the wise one, right? I'm going to put you as the auditor of all people's lives, and anybody who's stuck in a situation that has been reinforced and reminded that you're a victim and you can't help it and the world is mean, you're never going to get a job, and the formula is stacked against you. You're never going to get ahead. And then Kelin gets to come in and say, hey, listen, I'm a breakout here, right? I am making dreams come true and things are possible. And I can see things that you can't because of all those dipshits who told you that you're never going to get ahead. Well, start talking to me. And what we're going to do is we're going to take your life, right? We're going to put it in a barrel and we're going to shake it up, right? And anything that we pull out of that barrel on the other side of this is the stuff that you choose to bring forward in your life. So if we look and say you play video games or you like to do meth, right? All of the things that you can't make a really good argument for how that's making your life better, if it's a coping thing or it's just because you're sad or it's keeping you in that place, I'm going to pick you up. I'm going to put you on a covered wagon, right? And all you're going to do is against your will be put in the backseat of that wagon. And when you're done, you're going to end up in a place that there's no familiarity with. There's no video games and there's no meth. I'm going to put you out in the desert and I'm going to basically appeal to your biological survival skills. You're going to get up. And do you think that your life is going to be better if I look in at you? If you're not dead, you might die. But if you're still alive in a year, if you're better off than when you were convinced that there would be no change. I guarantee when you're pushed into it against your will to go to a different place and you are now free from all of your decisions that were back in Ohio, right?
Yeah.
Your life's going to get better because now if you bring a new choice into your life, it's on purpose.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you're a really stupid person, which I do believe that stupid people should die. I mean, that's just I do. Evolutionary biology says that stupid people shouldn't be breeding and creating more stupid people. And the only way to undermine that mathematics is you got to get stupid people out of the gene pool and allow smart people to breed and stupid people to kind of phase themselves out.
Would you group into the title of stupid people? There are those I have seen that are using the system and benefits out of this idea that they truly do enjoy the laziness, the getting one over, the cheating lifestyle.
I believe in biology, right? I believe in biology. And when you remove all of the environmental factors, that when someone is put free from all of those influences, they will act as human beings, even if they had different experience when they were back in Oklahoma. Now they're in Utah, right?
Okay, so you're saying like I can think of someone that is, if they're what we would look at as lazy. Yes. Well, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to get up early. I like to sleep and do whatever I want. I don't want to work for something. I want it to be given to me. That would go away if it's like, guess what? We're putting you out in the wilderness now, and you have to survive.
You're in the middle of a field, right? And it's about probably leg high, just wheat in every direction, right? And your senses kick in and says like, I don't have any protections. I don't know what's on the other side of this field. I know what's lurking as dangers in the grass, right? I have to go to my primitive sense of survival and say, oh, I got to live. And then you spot like a mountain lion on there, right? Now here you got two choices. You got to be like, I'm just going to lay here. I'm a little too lazy. Or my primitive senses are going to kick in and say, I don't want to die. Right.
Yeah.
And the mountain lion wants me to die because they want a meal. I have to invent survival mechanisms that are at my disposal, and I got to figure out how to survive. And it might be run, it might be build a wall, it might be fashion some kind of, primitive weaponry or whatever. But you will figure it out when there really wasn't an option to just be lazy. The only reason that lazy is an option is because the environment suggests that is an option. Right. There's no. It's not in that formula to be lazy. It's like, I'm just going to take a nap when there's a mountain lion right there.
Yeah. I mean, two different modes of thinking for, everyday people today. I have to get up. I have to get ready on time. I have to get to work. I have to pay my own bills. I have to get my own food. This is survival.
Yes.
That's all I know.
Right.
Whereas someone's like, I don't have to do all those things. I know it will be given to me.
Right. And when you take that option off of the table where, when I'm taking you on the covered wagon to a place that is completely foreign in every way to you, now I've taken all of those accommodations and conveniences away from you. It makes sense now, right?
Yeah.
But if I have to do attrition where you have to cut out conveniences that was your crutch as to why you weren't able to afford your own groceries. So, okay, let's use some math here. So my 40-year-old dude, 38-year-old dude, receiving $400 in SNAP benefits to be able to pay his groceries. He's going to have an argument that says, well, if I don't have that, I'm not going to eat, right? What, as a human being, so you take the allotment of 30 days, which is 1 month worth of working, right? Or let's do 20 days. 20 days. I'm going to challenge him that says, what your capabilities do you have right now that could make greater than $400 in the next 20 days? So how many dollars would you have to make per day over the next 20 days to get greater than $400?
Don't ask me to do math.
Okay, so let's do easy math.
Okay,
let's do 10 days, right? Mm-hmm. If you did 10 days and you had $400, what's 400 divided by 10?
40.
Okay, $40. Yeah. And now let's cut that in half because now we're talking about 20. So 40 cut in half is
20.
So $20 a day over 20 days is all you have to do. Can you think of anything that a felon that's kind of lazy yesterday, that has lots of reasons and excuses for victimhood, could you go out today and make $20?
Probably.
What could you do to make $20?
$20. You'd probably do, I don't know, some yard stuff for people.
Landscaping, lemonade stands,
yeah.
some home improvement if you have any kind of skill sets whatsoever.
Yeah.
Do you think it is asking too much that rather than just get a check that comes in to go out 8 hours a day and try to put together $20 a day? Could you try? Do you think most people
most people could try?
Most people could try.
You know what else I've even heard people can try? Like Gary Vee had this idea, not to go down a tangent, but quickly, is now that we're in this age of online and like marketplace on Facebook and things of that nature, he's like, go to a thrift store, buy some cheap item, fix it up, and sell it for more. Yeah. And he's like, easiest way to make profit.
You have an infinite amount of possibilities of things that you can do. That might be one of them. Lemonade stand might be one of them. General labor might be one of them. There's infinite amount of them. So for you to say, I can go out for 8 hours a day and survive, right? And create the instincts that allows me to conjure up imaginative ideas in ways to at least be better than I was yesterday. Yesterday was $400 a month. Today is whatever I decide and the decision I make. So you might go out and do a lemonade stand and make $1.50, right? Yeah. Not enough, not as much as you were making. Thank you. So the next day, you're able to go out and do a completely different thing. And in the pursuit of surviving the lion is the food that you don't have. And you get to invent ways of not dying to lions if you're put in that predicament, if you put yourself in that predicament.
Yeah, but people are like, why would I? Why would I if I can just get it and not be in a predicament? So what do we do? Then take that away.
That's it. But it's incumbent on the person that takes it away. So you go to the zoo and it says, please don't feed the flamingos, right? Because they're going to get dependent on your food, right? Now all of a sudden you're like, fine, I'll listen to it. We shouldn't have been giving flamingos, right? And then you decide to bow out. Now you're doing the right thing where you're doing the wrong thing. It's unfair to the flamingos who've been getting fed by you. They lost the instinct to be able to provide for themselves. Yeah. Now it's incumbent on you because you broke them to then describe back to them how to survive as a flamingo that doesn't get fed by the people at the fence, right?
Yeah.
So now that's your consequence is now that you broke them, you need to fix them. And to all those Democrats who use victimization to buy votes, it's incumbent on you to then change what you say and teach the people that you enslaved how to survive again.
Yeah, that would only predicate on the fact that they actually care and want to help people, though, not, well, I need them to be there for me when I want to come into power.
That's Republicans' job, is to then be the pushback that says, you broke it, you buy it, right? That's yours, not mine. I would have never convinced somebody that the reason they're in their position is because they're black or because that they grew up in poverty or because that they're of certain religious persuasion. None of those things fit. You have people that every race, every ethnic group, every religion that are prospering. So I either got to convince you that you can't do anything about it and you believe me, and so you play video games and get sad and are a waste on society. I push back on you and say, no, that doesn't fly. You were wrong. Admit it and go fix the people that you enslaved. Free our people.
Yes. Patricia says, I literally saw with my own eyes and heard my neighbor tell her able-bodied children how to apply for food stamps when they were nearing age 18. I was stunned. Oh, yeah. I've heard people say things like, I need to hurry and have another kid before I lose my money. Mm-hmm. I've heard a conversation one time years ago, two coworkers talking about how to claim other people's kids on their taxes to get a deal.
So who's at fault? The people who are willing to be opportunists about a trough that exists, or the person that lays out the trough?
That gives them that. Yeah, that gives them that opportunity.
Yeah. So if there's no trough, then there's no opportunism, right?
Yeah.
If you lay out a table of $100 bills, you are part of the problem. You might have noble intentions for wanting to do something, and aghast when somebody's taking advantage of something that you really wanted to help somebody in need.
Yeah.
Right. But it's equal your fault than it is the person that's saying, oh, table of $100 bills. I want one of them. Do you blame them? No. The only thing that you can do is take it away and have the people who caused it teach the flamingos how to eat on their own, period.
God, I'm thinking of all these different examples now. But I watched people be shady and sneaky and try to get something for nothing. And it's sometimes it's encouraged. That's so ridiculous.
But you probably do it too. All human beings do. If there's an opportunity, so if you had the warring party go out and do your hunting, right? Mm-hmm. And they bring back the food. When are normal opportunists interested in having a meal? Are they interested in having a meal when the party's going out to get the stuff where there's responsibility and there's hard things and it's cold out there and it takes a long time and I'm going to walk? Or are they interested when the food is in a pile and all of a sudden they want part of that and then negotiate themselves into getting something that they put no energy, they have no connection with that food. Now it's a negotiation. The people that kill the food and drag it back to the cave with the people who really want to eat. What are you willing to do for me now that you're going to get food that you don't deserve?
Listen, it's the you cook, I clean mentality.
It's exactly right. Yeah. Negotiation.
My husband is the cook in our household.
Right.
I can't cook.
So a person,
I clean up.
A person that is getting food stamps, right? Let's think of something they can give back to people who provided those food stamps. What could they do that can give a value bigger than what they received back into the economy and the marketplace? Now we have an origin of the negotiation.
That's interesting.
What are you willing to do? So let's just say you're a felon, you can't get a job, right? You're down on your luck and you're kind of sad and you play more video games. If you went out and did 20 hours of community service as penance for the money that you receive, would that be something that me as a taxpayer saying, hey, I'm Bob Smith, I took your money and I bought food and I'm really thankful for what you gave me. And I went to the park every day and I cleaned that sucker up so that the city's not going to have to pay a private company. I saved your community by doing something that I absolutely could do. And I don't even know what the rewards are for it. I wasn't being paid to do it. I did it out of appreciation for what the community did for me. So I'm giving it back to you. Would you give that guy benefits the next month?
Yeah.
100% I would. 100%.
If he was doing something.
Yep.
If he's like, I can't do this, but I can do this, I'll do that.
Took on the obligation of making sure that he did a net gain for the community, that the community took care of him. That is a reciprocal relationship. And I would do that every time.
So how do you feel about, I feel like when we get into the subject of benefits and things of that nature, how do you feel about like veterans benefits? Do you see that as, there are some people that will say, I think they get too much. There are some people that say, I don't think they get enough. Maybe it's just right. How do you see a benefit to someone who did something that they are no longer doing?
So serving in the military is the biggest ask a community can do, right? And maybe at a certain point, like if you, World War II, World War I, like when war was shit, like it was awful.
My husband says when it was war.
Real war, right? And that way, can you picture you're an 18-year-old kid and you know that you're going to go into a place where people are going to shoot at you and you got to basically be willing to give your life for something that was bigger than you? Yeah. I think all of community says that ain't right. Like you've got some issues going on if you're willing to give your life for these people back here. And I want to reward you with as much gold from the treasury as I possibly can, because you being not right, I am benefiting from your willingness to do it. And I will give them anything they freaking ask. The most valuable people in a society are those who are willing to sacrifice themselves for the greater good of your civilization.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. And obviously I'm a little biased, but I remember somebody saying one time, I just think we give too much to the military. Do they really need this much money a month or whatever? And I'm like, well, okay. What amount do you think suffices? What if you went and would you go do what they just did? And I'm talking specifics of what they did, what they saw, what they experienced, what they had to do, what was done to them. How much money would it take for you to go do that? Okay, so here's what we do. We take Bob Smith, and Bob Smith was in Normandy, right? And I want you to look at his paycheck that he drew when he went on the beach of Normandy and was willing to do. Would you be willing to take that paycheck and do that? The answer is unequivocally hell no.
No.
You couldn't pay me enough.
He made probably $10,000, right? At that period of time, what military was paid, he was probably an E-nothing, right?
Yeah.
And he was willing to take a bullet for you. And he did it more, not for the paycheck.
Oh, yeah. Do you know how many young military families are on government assistance to buy food and things like that? And I'm like, how do you get sent to a country overseas and are told you will be shot at and might die for payment so little you have to have government assistance to buy milk?
Yeah. But
I'd be like, you're out of your effing mind.
There will be a point in the future where military are not risking their lives, only a certain amount of them. So if I'm a drone operator and I'm playing a video game to drive a drone around, I was never put at risk. So my military retirement should not be the same as the Normandy guy, right, that put everything on the line.
And that's kind of where things get hairy when it comes to people fighting about the VA and fighting about benefits. Is I have seen instances of veterans. Yes, they are a veteran. Yes, they served in the military. But when I hear what their job was, where they were, what they did, I see them working the system. Well, I want this because of this, because of this. And it's like, no. You weren't injured. You didn't get hurt doing that. You didn't see this. You didn't do that. Now you're trying to get one over because you saw someone else get all these things who did have that situation.
So like this is where that hierarchy of, yes, you have a trough and people are going to exploit it because they're opportunists, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not starting with military. Like there are non-heroes that are costing way more than actual heroes. So if we have to overpay for people willing to serve their country while we pay attention to, trailer park queens that are just milking the system, which of the two am I going to
Which is why it is so important to go after the trailer park queens milking the system, because now the ones who truly need it and deserve it are struggling to get it.
Right.
I remember my husband told me one time, he's like, I almost feel bad. I feel bad. I don't even want to go and get any benefits. And I was like, why? And he's like, I don't know. I don't want to be one of those people that somebody thinks is just getting something for free. And I was like, oh my God. Like the people who are just trying to get something for free have like tainted it, tarnished it for people who need it.
This will end. I tell you with AI, this is going to end. And I have full faith that every person with their social credit score will be valued for the amount of net positive they put in the community, and they will be paid and benefited appropriately. And if you see that your score is low, you caused that, and there'll be plenty of people to teach you how to get a really good score as to figuring out, like, what am I giving back? I breathed that day, woke up, stepped outside of my door, and the things that I made better than they would have been because I was around. And then watch that little, digital score go up and down on the corner of your eyeball. I'm going to put a little heads up display.
Yeah.
When we're making bad decisions, it's going to make the score go down. And we're making good decisions, it's going to go up. And you're going to have like a little star bonus when you do really good that helps everybody. You get more money and you get more accolades, and everything is just and fair. And when you're just a bane on the existence, right? There's going to be a little evolution guy that's going to pop up on the center of your glass and say, hey, you know what? You need to die and do it quick because you're not contributing anything. And we need you out of the gene pool.
You need to die and do it quick.
And like, we're going to have a retraction on your penis so that you don't impregnate anyone and create more people who are doing less for society. That evolution guy, you picturing him with his hair out like that. Yeah. We did Spaghetti Monster. We did.
You need to die and do it quick.
Do it quick because you are not figured out how to contribute. Because the lion of the credit score is about to take you out. Because here's the thing. If you're doing respiration where you're exchanging carbon dioxide and oxygen, right? That's really it. And you're taking nutrients and creating fertilizer for something else. And if that's all you've done in that day to make the world a better place, then you as a meal is more valuable than you as a living, breathing person the next day. And that's just math. And it's
how
mean
about
math.
The ones, because I know this. The only thing you're doing in your day is taking up oxygen. Yes. You contribute nothing to society and you're living off of other people.
But you are giving carbon dioxide, which is necessary for plant growth.
And then you are outspoken about what everyone else should be doing and what you deserve and what someone else should do and the way someone else chooses to live. And like maybe you're a Christian and that's ridiculous and you're dumb. And
so my AI is going to, if you say something like, let's just say you broadcast that out in front of 10 people. Well, my AI will know that you said that, and it will measure your influence on the other people. And if you made their day better, you get actually social credit for influencing other people. But if all you did is make everybody worse, then you're in that evolution part where you're going to need to get out of the gene pool.
You're getting kicked out.
Right. But I'll give you a chance. I will give you the information that helps you change your ways and gets off of that, out of that trailer, right? And joins the, the landscape that everybody else is participating in. You can go there.
Speaking of AI telling people to kill themselves.
Did Jeff say anything
awesome on that? I was going to say, let's see Jeff first. Jeff says, there is a Youngstown mentality, though. In many cases, the people around here are hardheads. They are sure that they know what's in another place from what they hear over what they experience. Talking about a mountain lion, I lived in LA for 24 years. I used to hike a mountain near Hollywood, and occasionally I saw a mountain lion. I learned how to literally smell if a mountain lion was tracking me. They don't clean their paws after killing and eating an animal, so the stench is strong. It looks like there's more, but trailed off.
Okay, so Jeff has actually been in a situation where there is a threat to your existence. Real threat.
And you gotta survive.
Real threat.
Somebody said something above Jeff. Go up, go up. Oh, there's a few things above Jeff. Tracy says, Youngstown gets grant money for poverty, crime, and being unhealthy. Therefore, the conditions have failed to improve.
Who would have thought that if you pay for an outcome, that you get more of that outcome? That's amazing. And that's why the church really does things really well when they do it well. And when I was a kid and you had a need, you had 5 families that were no smarter than you that would judge you and made you feel ashamed to be in that position. And that was enough energy to get you to make different decisions. Everybody had, everybody wanted to have honor when they came to the table. Nobody wanted to say, hey, you're doing X, Y, Z and be judged for it. And so you wouldn't do X, Y, Z because you didn't want to be judged for it. So the church was able to use something that would be, a negative thing and turn it into a positive thing by judging people harshly.
Yeah.
I think that's necessary, where we make everybody feel good about their bad decisions and nobody changes anything. And so long that the outcome was that they were better off for it, then nobody would even argue. But so long that it's a bad experiment. So secularism is a bad experiment. It is. And at a certain point, you got to have smart people who conjured how it would be better if we didn't have these binding principles that kept us trying to do good things, right? We come to good things ends without the Bible and Jesus and theocracy. Like, even though thousands of generations before us needed that, we don't. We're totally smart.
People think that morality and being good and knowing how to do the right thing is innate. We just know. How do we just know what's good and what's right and what's wrong? What's good and what's bad?
But see, that's one of the predicates for probably 10 different arguments there. And that's really easy to say when you've landed on peaceful times. You don't know what built those peaceful times, so you're very likely to undermine the peaceful times and get back to the dark ages, right? Having great intentions, for instance, we'll use labor, right? What does labor need in order to have, sort of energy behind their movement? Well, good times. If there's no money to spend, what are you arguing for? So you're not going to go up to a startup company that's hemorrhaging $100,000 per month and want cut into that. So WNBA is a great example.
Yeah.
Losing money, right?
Yeah.
And the players are all like, we want our share. And so we're like, cool. I want all of you to cut us a check for $10,000 a month as we build this brand. And then on the other side of that, after we're making money, then that same share means money gets to return to you. You're taking risk, knowing that you're playing basketball for free, not even for free. You're putting money into the system until we build the brand, right? Yeah. But when it's somebody else's money, right, then you're like, I want a piece of that. But it takes that predicate. So do we have to go to the dark ages where they're lying, cheating, stealing, murder, rapes every day? and that you couldn't go outside without the dark forces being able to take over your family and your bodies and everything, let it get super bad. And you're like, we need theology. We need everybody to feel like we don't kill people, because there's advantage in murdering people. I don't know if you know that. There's advantage in killing people. There's advantage in lying. There's advantage in stealing. All of that stuff has really short-term advantage.
Yeah.
It's harder to do a virtuous thing like, I'm hungry and I don't want to steal. I'm going to go to work and I'm going to earn money and I'm going to exchange it with another person and they're going to give me food. And then I'm going to be able to eat. That's harder, right?
Yeah.
More responsibility in that.
Sean says, sorry, I got sidetracked, so I missed what you said. $298 a month. Ohio has a work requirement, so the taxpayer subsidizes companies' profits while they pay an unlivable
wage. What is that?
An unlivable wage.
Yeah. Take me through the transaction where somebody. So you're like, hey, my landscaping needs tended to. Right. And somebody walks up to your porch and they're like, hey, I'm willing to do the landscaping and you need landscaping. But I'm going to tell you, Miss Kelin, I need a livable wage to do your landscaping. And you're open to a livable wage?
Yeah.
So when you're shopping landscaping, you're like, I want to make sure that whoever does this has a livable wage. Yes?
Yes.
So if there was 5 landscaping companies, one was at $500, one was at $250, one was at $100, all being able to do the same thing. Company A says, hey, we're going to pull this off and we've got efficiencies in our labor, really low end. We're only paying $8 an hour, the minimum that we can. You get your landscaping. The middle one's like, hey, we're going to do a little bit of premium stuff, but we're still on the middle end. And we got the premium, like, hey, we pay all our people $30 an hour. You're paying the bill, same product at the end of the day. You, as the opportunist consumer, are you 100, 250, or 500?
Probably 100.
Why?
Because then I don't have to pay so much for it if they're doing the same thing.
Okay, does that help you?
Yes.
Because then you have money that you can spend in other places,
yeah.
Right? So it helps you, and you're looking out for you. You're not looking out for livable wages, right?
Yeah.
So what would $500 person have to say to you to make you choose them?
You'd have to tell me that I'm going to get $500 worth of value.
She gets it. She freaking gets it.
I better have the most freaking amazing lawn.
You get it. So it's not about a livable wage. It's what willing consumers that are good-hearted and good nature, willing to pay equal. You go into the grocery store, and what does bread cost? I don't even know. Is it $5?
I don't know. My husband does the grocery shopping now.
We'll say $5.
I haven't done it in a while.
Okay. So your expectations are when you go to the grocery store, you give them $5 and you leave with a loaf of bread. You will feel happy and they will feel happy because they gave you good value. What happens if you go for $5 and every once in a while they cut some loaves or some slices out of there?
I guess smaller
Now
amount.
you're like, I got less value for my $5. I've been shafted, right?
Yeah.
So what dictates what your expectations are?
How valuable the product is.
Okay. You know when you're getting a good value for a product and you feel like the $100 landscaping company is a good value because now you have more money to spend. And all the things they say about paying people $30 an hour, you don't give two shits because they're not looking to give to you more value. They're looking to extract more value from you.
So what do you do? Sean says your argument has many flaws in it and does not apply to what a livable wage is.
Well, what is it? Give me the definition of what a livable wage is. I'm gonna take a jump here because he's a Democrat liberal, and a livable wage is when I get to tell somebody else what to do, right?
Yeah.
So we'll use Starbucks as an example. So Starbucks is striking right now in California because they want a livable wage, right?
Yeah.
And so they're not serving the community. So their argument is the company makes a bunch of money and they can afford to pay a livable wage to the people, right? So if I saw that and I'm like, hey, this, I'm buying this coffee and I'm not happy that these people aren't being paid what I want. You know what I do?
What?
I start a coffee shop and I pay everybody a livable wage, and then I can build a company that is successful and employs millions of people. And then I've combated Starbucks then goes out of business because nobody's buying their coffee because they're coming to Joe's Livable Wage coffee shop. And then they go away. I won because I did the thing. I proved it out in the marketplace, and everybody so supports the livable wage coffee, right? Starbucks goes away and I don't. But a strike is like, I don't want to go through the hassle of building a company that's now successful. I want to take someone who's already successful. The trough has already been built, and I want to leverage and extract value from somebody else, tell them what to do. And I didn't have to do anything. All I had to do was force slavery on another person. That's it.
So here's a real life example.
Yeah.
And tell me what I should do in this situation. Years ago, when we started having kids and our kids were babies, my husband was working. He was in the military and I was working. The job I had, the hourly rate was not enough to cover the cost of childcare so that I could go to work.
Right.
I would actually lose money. I'd be like paying money to go to work.
Right.
And so we said, look, I'm not making enough. Oh my God. Sorry. Squirrel. It just like started to downpour. Not making enough to cover it. I'm going to stay home with the kids and not work for a while. And we're going to live off of my husband. Let's say that was not an option.
Okay.
Let's say maybe the spouse does not make enough to cover everybody. Both have to work.
Yeah.
But you check every single childcare place in town and they charge what they charge. You don't have any other option. And you're like, but I can't afford to pay that and go to work. I need to make more money. What does that person do?
Start a childcare place, paying the amount that you think that childcare places should be charging, and prove out to the world that that's just a market value on. If you were in that predicament, then there are other people in that predicament, right? And what would you charge? Would you charge less or equal or more? If it's a problem, that means there's a vacancy in the marketplace and you go fill it. If there are coffee shops that they're not paying their workers well, go start a coffee shop that pays their workers well and prove that that's the way things should be done.
It is interesting. I mean, I even saw businesses where we were living, Aflac. There's like an Aflac headquarters there. And they had childcare in the building for the employees. And I was like, isn't that interesting? Like, what a way for a company to be like, let's take away one reason that you're going to have issues with work. And all the employees, you drop your kid off downstairs and your office is upstairs.
That was not a forced negotiation. Anything that is open to volunteerism, where you bring what your good ideas to the marketplace and prove them, and then everybody copies you, that's how you change things, by proving it out.
So what if the person's like, well, I studied and worked hard and entered a certain field that is not childcare. I don't want to be in childcare. Would you say, well, you don't have any choice? Or like,
what do you mean choice? If it means telling someone they have to do something they're unwilling to do, if you're forcing something on, that is slavery, and we don't do slavery here in the United States. Like
if someone's like, well, I can't open my own childcare place.
Right.
What else can they do?
So don't.
So how else can they still work?
You're going to have to, the adaptability of human beings to figure out the things that they can't do is what makes us human beings. Normies want to be convenienced, like the Karens of the world want to demand what they think should be and make everybody else bow to them, rather than what they think should be, go prove it in the marketplace and show by example how things should be done.
Yeah.
So if there's a $20 hamburger joint that goes in place, and I don't agree that a $20 hamburger joint's going to work because it's too expensive for consumers, you go and do it, then I'm like, oh, that was awesome. You put your own funds at risk. You put your own time at risk. You prove something out. I was totally wrong. You were right. Awesome job. High five. But if you're like Tom, who I want to force him to pay his workers better and increase the price of his hamburgers to $20, well, I'm like, Tom didn't come up with that idea. You're forcing your ideals on somebody else who has way more history. He built that hamburger stand well before you had that freaking idea. Yeah. And you're not taking everything that he's risked. You're taking it as something you gave 30 seconds worth of thought and bad mathematics, and you're making him do something that he would never otherwise do.
So how do you, when you say things like, well, go start your own coffee shop or go start your own whatever,
or sell your idea to somebody else who is doing it.
I would say don't Doesn't starting a business quite often involve like getting a loan?
No.
Not
That's
always?
what everybody says.
Okay.
That's what everybody says.
Yeah, because I'm like, what if someone's like, well, I can't get a loan. I don't have a job.
No.
I don't have a job because I'm supposed to start a business and I can't start a business without a loan, but I don't have a job.
Yeah, and that's just really soft. It's sort of like underinformed people. I talk with new business owners, like people who want to get an entrepreneurial space.
Yeah.
And I would say 9 out of 10 of them feel like they need to raise a bunch of capital and debt in order to get started. So I had one guy come to me and said, I want to do car detailing, right? And he was like, I need to build a building and I got to buy this machine and I got to do this and I got to do this. I need a bunch of money to start my car dealing. And I said, nope, you don't, right? You know what you need to do? There are car detailing shops everywhere. There are warehouses everywhere. There are mechanics shops everywhere. All of them have unoccupied idle spaces right now. What you need to do is go out to an idle space and lease the space that you need from someone who make the argument that right now that bay over there is doing $0. I'm going to give you $50 and now you're going to make $50 on an idle bay. I'm going to cover all of my own liabilities, so I'm not creating any new expense to yourself. I'll do it for $50. And that person's going to be like, I like this kid. He's got ambition. I'm going to give him a space. So I have to then convince people to the idea that they concocted and the limitations that they have in their head are freaking wrong, right? Mm-hmm. And tell him that it's more work to go negotiate a space in a bay that's being underused, right? Instead of like buying a building and getting $1 million in funding and having your own machines and having to do 100 customers a day on day one, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to say your idea is effing terrible. My idea is really good. Let's move you closer to me because I'm right, actually. And if you come fully me, I'll give you a really good plan. So any of those people can talk to me. When they tell me what they can't do, I'm going to dress it up in a million reasons. So you as a single mom and want to tell me all the reasons you can't start your own daycare, I'd be like, do you have space in your basement? Yeah. Okay. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to contact a bunch of families who are in the same predicament and offer to, have their kids in your basement all day and you're going to teach them lessons all day.
Well, there's legalities to that.
Well, whatever. I will concoct it.
Okay.
So that you will be able to pull it off and you might give your situation to me and I might not be able to have any mathematics that helps you out in your situation. You'll have to shed some of your environmental restrictions, which means you're going to have to change your life. None of it's going to be easy. I don't ask anybody to do something that they're like, oh, that's on autopilot. That's going to be the most convenient path for me.
Yeah.
It's all going to be effing hard. But it's all
hard.
better than taking someone who's not me and forcing them to do something that they don't want to do so that I get convenience and they get inconvenience.
Yeah. Choose your hard. Do you want to struggle or do you want to work hard at getting out of the struggle?
And Sean, it's the strawman argument. And I'm using hypotheticals to describe this, but you're going to have your chance, buddy. You're going to be able to take all of your positions and I will be able to argue them directly. Use my examples as sort of philosophy in what you're in, what's in store for you, but they're straw men right now, but I'm not doing it in bad. I'm doing it in good spirit.
Sean says this conversation is way more nuanced than you're trying to present it as.
Nuance is complication and I boil things down to simple, understandable concepts. It's not more nuanced. Nuance means that resolution does not give you favor. Period.
Yeah. If your only option is survive off my government or perish, you're in a bad situation.
Yeah. How did you get there? Let's get you out of there as quick as possible. So the nuance, and again, this is another straw man because I'm going to tell you what I think Sean's going to say. Mm-hmm. So here's the type of nuance that drives me freaking batty, right? So I'm like, there's a bunch of women who get abortions, right? And I don't like that they get abortions. And if I can do something that takes a percentage of those and makes them so they don't occur, right?
Yeah.
And Sean's going to say something, well, what about rape and incest, right? The asterisks, I'm not talking about those ones, right? If I can take the 99% and just get them to be less than that number without even addressing rape and incest, I'll do it in a heartbeat. I won't not do it because there are examples that don't fit into my template. I will work on my template and get as many of them out of a system that I disagree with without forcing someone to do something they don't want to do.
Again, leaving more resources for the
Correct.
The what's the exceptions?
Yeah. I don't get
that
hung
they
up
don't
on the
have
exception.
because everybody's doing
When
it.
I say people shouldn't be taking so many pharmaceuticals, I'm not taking about people who have debilitating illnesses that need pharmaceuticals. I started off saying that. I'm only talking to the people who are taking pharmaceuticals that shouldn't be. I don't care about the ones at all.
Like every time we talk about cutting benefits, they're like, what about the
about
elderly and the disabled?
What about this guy?
Not who we're talking about.
Not nuance. It's
In fact, we're trying to help the elderly and the disabled by making sure there are benefits for them.
Yes.
Because it's not wasted on those who don't need it.
100%. And that's the nuance that liberals really get attached themselves to, because it's the premise of all of their arguments. The exceptions make their rule rather than the other way around.
Oh, you know what I used to say all the time back in the day, back before I followed all this stuff? I used to say, well, I would rather one person who truly needs it get help while 100 misuse and abuse the system than that person not get the help they need to cut off everyone else. And I never thought they need help and can't get it because hundreds are abusing the system. Like, why does it have to be one or the other? Why can't it be help those who need it, don't help those who don't? But we're pitted in that which side are you on mindset, because the people who run the system benefit off of that.
Right.
I'm going to make you think it's help everybody or help nobody, when that's not actually what it should be.
Right. Yeah. I have the formula and all the ingredients to do this well. All somebody has to do, instead of arguing with me, just ask how you do it well.
Yeah.
It's a simple simulation. So Jay says, is Joe comparing minimum wage to slavery? Here's everybody knows what slavery is, right?
Yeah.
Involuntary servitude, being forced into doing something that you don't want to do. So if I say, Kelin, I would like you to do my landscaping, and here's $10. When it's voluntary, I can say, here's my offer, and you can say,
okay, or no thanks.
There you go. You have the ability to say yes or no. And then I'm like, oh, she didn't say no. I have to then up my bargain, and I have to say, how about $20? And you can say yes or no. So my checkbox, is it voluntary or is it involuntary? It is slavery if you're holding a group of people or even a single person against their will to do something that they don't want to do. That is the definition of slavery. So minimum wage. If you say job posting, $8 to flip fries, and then you come in and say, I want that job. And I say, okay. And then I pay you what you asked, and you do the job that I asked. Completely voluntary. So minimum wage doesn't matter. Now, what if I was like, I'm a government person? I'm going to raise the minimum wage above where that industry can afford. Ha ha ha, right? I got them. I'm going to make people make more money. And then I say, I want to do this job. And the job posting says $20 an hour. And the person says, well, here's everything that you're going to need to do for me that's $20 an hour. And I say, well, I can't do all of those things. I'm a fry cook. I'd rather make what I'm capable of doing. And I'm going to say, sorry, I'm going to say no as that person. I'm going to wait for somebody who can give me all the extra values for $20 an hour. Now you're unemployed and unemployable.
Yeah.
So that, that bird brain in Congress decided that minimum wage was going to make something better. And all it did was take Bob, who was willing to do it, and no longer he can get a job because he's just not capable. At least there was an entry-level position for him, and now there's not.
So I feel like you're going to have these pushback people that'll say, okay, let's say you hired me to flip burgers, $5 an hour. Mm-hmm. I'm okay with it. You're okay with it. I'm flipping burgers for $5 an hour. And then you come to me and you say, I'm also going to need you to be the fry person. Oh, okay. Does that come with a little bit more money? No. Oh, okay. All right. Now I'm flipping burgers and I'm the fry person. Hey, I also need you to bag all the to-go orders. Well, that's a new skill set and a new responsibility. Yeah. Is there more money with that? No. $5 an hour, flipping burgers, and you're the fry person, and now you're bagging. So do you feel like people would then say, oh, well, that's not now?
Well, the market answers that question.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I go to the general public and I repost that is there somebody willing to be able to do that? So you say, I'm doing these extra things, and I got to contemplate whether or not I can go put this job posting with those 3 things in there. Would there be somebody willing to come in and do that? Then you can say you want more money, and I could say no. I can get rid of you and bring the new person in to do those things, and they'd be willing to do it. If there's nobody in that queue, there's nobody in line to do that, then I have to contemplate what an unwilling person, right, what they would charge, and then offer that to you. That's how, when I could say no and you can say no, now you have a legitimate reciprocal negotiation. You could say those things, and I could say
you
no.
might be able to find someone to come do all 3 for $5.
Exactly.
But I also may be able to take all my new skills and go elsewhere.
100%. And that's that is where we're not holding anybody hostage and against their will. You can do that, and I can do that. We're free to do it. You're free to do it. And now it's a chess game between the 2 of us.
Yeah. Penny Lane says, the difference between liberals and conservatives: liberals aren't willing to risk the exception to enforce the rule. Conservatives can handle that basic philosophical difference. And
that is the crux of it. And honestly, I think both sides can benefit from learning from one another. Just like the people who plant the trees and nurture the trees and fertilize the trees can learn something from the people who pick the fruit off of those trees. Both are necessary. If you don't pick the fruit, then you don't have a thriving, whatever it is. Yeah. And so like the people who plant it think they're more important than the people that harvest it, and the people that harvest it think they're more important than the people that plant it. And so long that they're at odds with one another, they're not going to learn from each other's, contribution to the business.
To the business.
Yeah.
Penny Lane says, wrong. The states with higher minimum wage have the better economies. Data doesn't support that.
The states with higher minimum wages have better economies. When you say better economies, I look at statistics on economies. What do you mean by that? Like, how are you measuring what makes a better economy?
Yeah.
So if you lived in New York and the cost of living was $100 and you made $1,000, you make a 10x to cost of living to what you make. If you come to Ohio and you make $100 and your house costs $10, you're making a 10x to where you're living. So can you say that when you increased the cost of living, that everything costs more and it's proportional to those other economies, right?
Yeah.
So you have denser populations, you have a financial hub, you have more commerce happening, but how that's predicated on a minimum wage, you'd have to try really hard to draw those parallels.
Yeah.
And part of the setting up a trough, if you went into a plaza that had a Walmart, a Target, a Lowe's, and lots of economics happen, and you set up a Girl Scout cookie sales, right? Are the economies better when there's a concentration of economics that's already happening versus you going to a plaza that doesn't have anything in it and you comparing the sales between Girl Scout cookies when you are leveraging other people's economies and saying, wow, the economy in this plaza is a lot better, and taking responsibility for, or you taking responsibility for what somebody else is providing, kind of thing. Like there will always be people, homelessness is a good example of that. Homeless people go to big cities with concentrated wealth and they make more money panhandling than somebody who goes to Omaha, Nebraska and does the same thing. Well, Omaha probably has homeless too. Whatever.
Yeah.
Pick random city in anywhere. And they're going to say, well, the economies are better in the big cities. No, it's just an opportunist that got close enough to the crumbs of an economy that has inefficiencies, and the spillover waste to those things still make it sort of work a little bit.
Huh. Sean says, so would you be in favor of eliminating the minimum wage altogether?
There was a time during the Industrial Revolution where a minimum wage, the dynamics are this: when you have, when a company, let's just say I set up a steel mill in Youngstown and I have 1,000 positions and I have 10,000 people that would work that job. Mm-hmm. Well, what's going to happen to the marketplace when you have an oversupply of people doing labor and you have so many more jobs? Well, I can exploit the shit out of the numbers that are coming into that. I have tons of queue, and if I offer you $1 and I offer the next guy 50 cents, he's going to take it because he's comparing that with nothing.
Yeah.
So a minimum wage should be sort of like responsive to where we're at in our economy, so that there is not exploitation. And I don't think we've experienced an economy that needed a federal minimum wage ever in my lifetime. And I think it's counterproductive.
So would this sort of be like in my example where you hired me to be a burger flipper and then you added all these things? You could find someone else to do it for $5. I could go elsewhere. But what if you came up and said, by the way, I found someone who'll do all this for $3. And now I have to be like, wait a minute, what? Like now I'm going to lose my job or go to $3? Like, would you say, okay, that's when you sort of need that minimum wage of you can't go the other direction?
When there is true exploitation, when you know the numbers are on your side and you leverage those high values, that you use it to improperly deflate what labor costs, then you need a minimum wage as a counter to that. But it has to be dynamic, where somebody whose objective is looking at saying, this is what's actually happening, almost like monopoly rules, right? When you have a company that has too much influence and are making buys and sells on acquiring more positions, you're like, wait a minute, this can get exploitative. You got too much power and control. You're going to buy 120 newspapers. That means that you're not going to have market forces that that are applied to you. We got to stop that from happening so that you don't acquire too much influence in your local economies.
You're like, I'm the only burger flipping joint there is.
Yeah. So why is minimum wage so low? Because it's not been a factor. It's never been a factor and shouldn't be. So if you can find, I think the number of people that it even affects is way less than the media would have you believe, or the liberals would have you believe.
Yeah, because I can't imagine. Do you think in this day and age, if somebody went to get a job and they're like, well, what's it pay? Minimum wage? Like if somebody stated that,
right,
they probably would have a hard time hiring.
Yeah. So if you had a landscaping company and you were having trouble attracting workers at $10 an hour, they all come to you and say, I'm not working for $10 an hour. It's hot outside and I'm working in the rain, and $10 isn't enough. It forces you to go to $20 an hour, regardless of what a minimum wage tells you should pay.
Yeah.
You're hitting the marketplace, trying to attract people, and you have willing people that are saying whatever. If you force it, it's like, hey, your landscaping company, you have to pay $20 an hour. All that does is make your product cost more. And then the illusion of your workers, when they go on the economy and are like, burgers used to cost $5. I make twice as much money, but now burgers cost $10. So nothing changed. It just inflated everything double what it should cost. And
yeah,
it's an illusion.
Penny Lane says, when you had said what makes our economies better healthcare, better schools, better quality of life, higher incomes.
And we're talking about minimum wage?
When she said the economies are better in the areas that
have a higher minimum wage.
Yeah.
That's a long haul for me, Penny. I have to, you'd have to take a control group and compare in equal economies where one city didn't do it and one city did do it, and see how much of those healthcare, because better is sort of like an arbitrary measurement as far as I'm concerned. So you have to take like cities and do a direct comparison in order for me to say, yeah, minimum wage absolutely helps in that for that economy. So I just require more. I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt that it does contribute when you flush money into an economy inauthentically, that there's more money to be spent in those different industries. And then they therefore respond by being better schools because there's a higher tax base, being better medical care because there's more people that have money to spend in those industries.
Isn't that kind of like what they attempted to do like during COVID when everybody got the, the stimulus checks or something?
Yeah.
Like we want to stimulate growth and
right.
Here's a bunch of money, go spend it in your local economy.
Yeah. And that proves that point, is that on the short term, you can infuse inauthentic cash into something and you have a short-term gain and a long-term loss. So it's going to take a little while. If I raise the minimum wage right now to $50 an hour in all of Youngstown, in the short term, people are like, I'm flush with cash. And it's going to take longer for the economy to then show all of the detriment that came with that decision. It'll take maybe 5 years. So you could say in the measurement, as soon as we get $50, restaurant revenues went through the roof and retail went through the roof. And look at all this money that's being spent in your local economy.
Until all the repo starts to happen.
And then as the market reacts to that, then it sets your baseline, your 0 becomes 10, and now it's all the same again. And so you're like, okay, what worked last time is I can infuse a subsidy into the marketplace, see a net benefit in the beginning, right? I'm going to do that sucker again, because even though there were complications down the road, at least everybody was happy and will vote for me in the short term. That's sort of why politics plays these games against us, because they get into office when you promise somebody else's shit.
Yeah, for sure. She says there never will be an oversupply of labor again.
I agree with that. Never will be. And with AI, it'll take a lot of that. The Industrial Revolution would take somebody right off the boat. They'd use their strength in their back to get on an assembly line and do something that was hard. And you were a commodity when you came into that, right? Yeah. And then the labor unions forced all of those commodity players to be paid more than they were valued. You could get the new guy off of the boat, but it was more expensive to train the new guy than the guy that you had living there. The unions exploited that, and then people went home and built houses and created all the neighborhoods, and all the infrastructure that we see would have never happened had the labor unions not converted some of that prosperity into infrastructure building. But now we're not there. We're not taking 10,000 people off of a boat and immediately being able to use them in unspecialized labor. There has to be some kind of skill that you bring to the table in order to have a value in the marketplace. So it's different now. I mean, couldn't happen now, as what Penny was.
Yeah. Sean says, are we not at the point where these companies have too much power to where they are able to exploit labor?
You'd have to make the argument of where it's being exploited. If it's an agreement where someone can say no and walk away, then they're not being exploited. If you're fresh off the boat, I can exploit the fact that you don't have any other options. I can say, I'm going to pay you 10 cents because what are you going to do? Go be impoverished on the corner. In today's marketplace, you have an infinite amount of choices that you can do. The Democrats have just taken all of those choices off the table, given you one road. And if you're not on that road, you're completely vulnerable, right? Because only thing that you're vulnerable to is what they convinced you that you're a victim of. What happens if you get told no, and then you go start a business that competes with the person that told you no? If that's a pathway, then I'm a little afraid that you're just I'm just raising my competition. And if you really have better ideas, you're going to win in the marketplace. The meritocracy means that you have the ability. And the one example where I'll give Sean, credit there is that if you truly have systemic leverage, right, you give somebody a better deal than another person. So that if I'm opening Joe's wine shop and you open Kelin's wine shop, and I give you subsidies because you're a woman, maybe of color, and you have all these benefits that I don't get, right? You have a strict advantage against me, and you're exploiting innate characteristics to now I've got to work harder than you to compete against you. And if you get in a power position when you make too much money, it would be making too much money. If you look at my balance sheet that I'm doing authentically, and you're getting government grants and subsidies for doing business, you make too much money. Too much as in more of what you make is freaking inauthentic.
Yeah. Sean says, people need a roof over their head and food on their plate. You cannot afford not to take the job if that's all you are able to get.
Yeah, and we are an adaptable species that can figure it out and not say, I tried one thing and it didn't work out, and now I'm at beholden by the system. Like, you cannot. I've worked with so many people who were willing to do things, right? And they all made the attempt to do those things.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not everybody is stuck in a predicament. Why are some and not others? Why are some able to begin in this predicament and climb out? Like,
status quo and consensus is what I'm telling you. That's why I preach so much for breaking out and being a rebel. Because as a kid, you're told, you go to school, right? And then you go to college, and then you get a job. Single path. And I'm saying, no, don't do that, right?
Yeah.
Right? Don't even go to college. Don't buy that overpriced piece of paper you put on the wall. You got a brain, and all you got to do is look through society where there are things that people need, and take your skill set, develop a skill set first off, get all the education that you can put together, and go out in the marketplace and conquer some void. And then you get rewarded because you saw a void and you filled that gap, and then you played the marketplace. But we have 90% of the kids that come through that says it's somebody else's responsibility to fit me in a place and then handsomely reward it. That's a bad plan.
Oh, I hate when I hear people that like made a poor life choice, then complain about how difficult their life is and how others aren't helping them. Like, I remember hearing someone complain like they were mad at their parent for having to go to work and taking a new job where they can't watch their kid anymore.
Yep.
Well, my parent was going to watch my kid, and now that's ridiculous. I can't believe they would do that to me. And I was like, was it their responsibility to take care of your kid? Like, really?
Yeah. But that's normie thought right there. And it is all of our education system is basically frying the brains of adaptable people who have the ability to figure things out for themselves. Survival cognition keeps people stuck. You can't negotiate your way out of survival mode, and expecting someone to start a business is privileged thinking. Most employees don't know how to exit survival mode, and many won't try because the unknown feels riskier than the struggle they already understand. Business owners start from a different place. They know permits, filings, timelines, risks, and who to call for help. The real question isn't why won't they just build a better business? And you're right. And that's sort of like the disadvantage from taking a snapshot of where we're at. If you had a bunch of flamingos that are already being fed and I've got to figure out how to make them not dependent on a system that broke them, like it's a hard haul to figure out how to rewire people's brains to not be stuck. Like they're wired to be stuck by their family and culture and academics. They're not, we're like if you just took all of environment out of it and we're like, I'm a human being and I have instincts and I have survival ability. You can compare the person who had no influence from the systems that failed them and decide whether or not you break the failed people out of the system that didn't have their best interest and put them in a disadvantage where now they don't have anything familiar and they don't have power and they don't have finances and they don't have leverage, but at least start reconditioning them to be a survivor, right? Versus somebody who's completely dependent. You take their food away and now they're spinning on the floor and saying, I got my person who had no advantage. You have this person who had advantage, but it got taken away from them. Who's going to win? Well, it's my person that's tougher, strong, and that's why I'm always going to advocate for that.
So it's not so much someone might say, oh, it's not easy to just build a business. Okay, it's not maybe, but you're saying I'm giving you another idea.
Yes.
Whereas your idea is, or just stay stuck.
Yeah. And if you choose to stay in the machine that has bad math involved, then you're going to be a victim of that machine and you're going to vote Democrat the rest of your life. And they're going to vote all the goodies that they can in your direction. And they're going to basically confirm that you're a victim and you couldn't help it. And I'm going to take my guy that I completely break out of the system, teach how to survive on their own. And let's compare it at the end of the experiment. Who's going to be, the victim's going to be convinced, but they're going to be made no better. The survivor is going to get stronger and be able to win. And you can't argue with the outcome. I can make any breakout person survive once they get outside of the system.
Ooh, confident. Interesting.
I can. And so, for instance, like let's just say the person that is in the struggle where they're contemplating doing the business thing. You know what I did when I was contemplating the business thing?
What?
I spent 9 hours a day learning everything I didn't know, right? I picked up business books and wherever my voids were in my education, I filled them in on my own. You take the victim and they're going to decide they can't do anything about it. You think they're going to pick up a book? Think they're going to sit down with SCORE retired people and ask them about their business and how they did it? You think they're going to come and get mentored by me? No, they're convinced that they can't do it anyway. So where are they going to spend their time? So if you compare where I spent my time, you might call it privilege. I call it that I wasn't listening to all the people that said that I should lay down and just be a victim on it. I decided not to do that because it was a bad plan. So all those people got to do is say, okay, I'm probably not a victim. People have been surviving in this country for, 200 years now. They all figured it out in their own way. Either I'm going to join the thing that's going to tell me that I, just take my hair and just pet me on the head and say, you're good enough and strong enough and you're never going to do it. So let me take care of you. Or I'm going to be a survivor and I'm going to go get my kills on my own and it's all going to be mine.
Just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
If someone had a business idea and they're like, this might be a cool little business to start up, would you recommend it be something they really enjoy because they will be knee deep in it? Or is that not necessarily important?
No, it's not. It's not necessary anymore.
I had a business idea years and years ago, and it was like a mild interest of mine. I enjoy this. I know other people who enjoy it. Wouldn't it be cool to have a little brick and mortar that does this for people? And then I realized I don't want to do that for long. So I'm not going to do it because I just assumed, oh man, my life will be consumed by this for years because it's my business.
That's sort of like that. Two separate questions. So you have the psychologies that will allow you to do something long enough to stay in the game until it comes to fruition. Businesses take 5, 6, 7, 8 years to grow to fruition.
Yeah.
So what's going to keep you in the game? Well, obviously liking something good enough, right, is going to keep most people in the game. Well, I had a dude that figured out these inflatable bags that you put back in the back of semi trucks to keep product from spilling out, right?
Oh.
So you want to ask the guy if he really liked inflatable bags. Is that really his passion? No. Does he have a multi-million-dollar business now because he did something he didn't really was passionate about or liked, but he saw a void in the industry, knew that his mind could conquer that problem, did that problem, built up a business, hired a bunch of employees. Now he's doing exactly what he had to take the next 5 years worth of really liking his life to get to the life that he really likes his life now.
Yeah. You want to hear what my idea was?
Go for it.
Okay. So where I was living, it was a military town. I was young, female. My friends and I were all getting into spray tanning because we kept hearing more and more about how tanning is bad for you. But we're in this area that has military balls and proms and weddings and all kinds of things where girls are getting spray tans for all kinds of different occasions year round. And I was like, oh my God, let me open up a tanning place, I had a girlfriend that did it kind of mobily where she would go to the homes and have her own tent and do some girls and make a little bit of money. And I was like, well, it can maybe either be mobile or it could just be a brick and mortar like, they have in town. There's a lot of places like that. And eventually I talked myself out of it because I was like, it's a really, really messy thing to do. It gets everywhere. You ruin your walls and stuff. It gets in your nose. I don't want to inhale it all day, every day. That can't be good for you. And I talked myself out of it.
Okay. You should have.
Because it's just not a good idea.
No. It's the beginning of that pursuit. So like let's just say there's 4 frat guys and they're all best friends and they hang out at a bar, right? And they're drinking and having fun. And they're like, you know what we should do? Once we have some money,
we should get a bar.
We're going to open a bar, right?
Yeah.
And it's because what they're familiar, what they know. It's the embarking on the let's fill a vacancy, right?
Yeah.
I can do it because I'm familiar with it, but there's a barrier of entry in business. Like what keeps everybody from being able to participate in an idea? Well, use the bags guy, right? The guy did inflatable bags. Well, he saw something that was a void in the marketplace. So I'd have to ask you, yes, you could do spray tanning. And yes, it was open to you, but it's open to every single person on the planet.
I would not have been the only place.
Okay. So does the marketplace need a tanning place? Yes or no? Or just you want to join something that's already been done. You don't have to make an argument for it. You just have to be an option. Right. So that's why I talked you out of it, because there's nothing unique about that. Just like the bros are going to open a bar. It's
not like this really innovative idea that isn't out there.
It breaks the first rule is that do you have a skill set or can develop a skill set that answer a void that's in the marketplace? And so the void would be if you move to a city, new in town, and you came from another town that had 2 spray tanning places, and you look around and said there are no spray tanning places. Now you have a void. You know that there was stuff, and you know that there isn't.
Or maybe you see there's a bunch and they suck.
Exactly.
Like, God, they have a horrific product. We could use this and do better.
That would be a void where then you would take your marketing skills and appeal to people who are paying X for the things that are available. And mine's a different thing, right? Like your Timex to Rolex type of thing. And then that would be a good iteration of a low barrier entry business. Any mean comments coming in?
No, Carter says happy Thanksgiving to both of you guys.
Too.
They're great.
Hey, by the way, do you think the depiction of the Thanksgiving feast between pilgrims and Indians are skewed? Do you have bad feelings about using the word Indians and talking about the interactions between those two groups?
Do I have bad feelings about talking about it?
Yeah.
Like, should I say Native Americans or?
Oh, you can say whatever you want. You're free to express yourself any way you want.
I didn't have any
bad. We're pilgrims dicks and we're Indians awesome.
I can't imagine so.
It's a discussion like in classrooms. If you pick up a 5th grade class and you're teaching what happened here, there's a lot of schools that really they don't want to say one thing or the other, right? You don't want to take what the pilgrims did, and you don't want to take what the Indians did, and you don't want to take a version of history that makes one side better than the other.
Yeah,
right?
They both had their own reasons and did their own things, and it's not like good guy versus bad guy.
Right. It's just a data point in history of something that happened that's part of what we are. And if you go back in time and ask, could it be any different? I don't think that I would. I think the Indians were made better by, the influences that from Europe and from France, from England, and they were made better because of it, because they were not getting there on their own, right? They weren't civilization building. They weren't bringing new technologies. So they benefited from everything that Europeans were doing at the time, right? And maybe they weren't great at survival, the pilgrims, when they came over, and they need a little help from what Indians knew how to do. And they had some kind of, they did a lot of trade at that time. And so the exchange of what they knew and what they could bring could have been a reciprocal type of engagement. And that's the way I choose to look at that, as reciprocal engagement.
Yeah. See those little classroom images of them sitting together and getting along as hope for the future, that two sides with two different skill sets can help each other.
Did you draw turkey with your hand?
Yeah, I did.
Turkey hen.
With the feathers.
The turkey hen. That's what they should be teaching in 5th grade right there, the turkey hen.
Yes.
All right, maybe that's 2nd grade. All right, thanks for joining us, everybody.
Happy
Thanksgiving.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. This is original Youngstown content. Feel free to share our videos and tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe to